I first started thinking about the concept of duty watching the funeral of Prince Philip a couple of months ago. Forever two steps behind the Queen, always a prince and never the king, he was the personification of a traditional sense of duty, stiff upper lips and sternness. You do what is asked of you without complaint. And he really, I think, was one of the last of the sort of Victorian style sense of duty, which Lord Shaftesbury wrote about in 1844, saying that men, or rather gentlemen, must have nobler, deeper, and sterner stuff, a rigid sense of duty, but a delicate sense of honor, and a desire and a courage to live for the service of God and the best interests of mankind. So in this era, a life well lived isn't about following your own passions or desires. A life well lived is lived in the service of God, Queen, and country. This is British Empire duty that sends young men off to foreign lands and world wars, and women stay home, keep calm, and carry on. And this, of course, is also British imperialism and colonialism duty, which thought that everyone else had to be civilized so that they too could serve God, Queen, and country, just not their own country. So it's not a form of duty that fits anymore. And that's a good thing because it led to the suppression of rights and identities, people hiding who they really were, who they really loved, that exploitation of those who don't fit the mold. And British Empire duty was a harsh taskmaster. And yet I can see how that notion of duty, separate from patriarchy and patriotism, from colonialism, that a sense of duties taken seriously can provide the strength to do what needs to be done. It helps people hold heavy responsibility and keep carrying on. I have a pair of winter boots, and whenever I wear them, there are certain days when the laces just unravel and they will not stay tied. And I'll stop and do them up again, and a few steps later, the laces unravel again and again. And eventually I remember to tie a second knot, creating that double knot, and the unraveling stops. And I think of a sense of duty like that second knot. When I can't get something done on my own, when I'm struggling and unraveling, that sense of duty stiffens the backbone and helps keep me moving. Duty is the second knot in the shoelace, that backup knot that helps you do what needs to be done, that holds you even when you are unraveling a little. It's about having an obligation to something beyond yourself, something bigger than you. It's a sense of purpose that connects you to a greater whole, a sense of service. And that's a powerful thing. As Charmaine said, we've all been struggling with our duty during the pandemic. It's been our duty to stay home and isolate and not see loved ones. And it's been hard and exhausting and lonely and frustrating. And not everyone has done their duty. There has been an endless parade of politicians and hospital CEOs and rich people telling us to follow the rules while they go on tropical vacations with distant family. Being dutiful seems nonsensical when the people in charge make the rules but see no reason to follow them. And yet I know that sense of duty, that purpose to protect the vulnerable has sustained me. It's helped keep me going even when I would rather unravel during all of these lockdowns. Duty is the second knot in my shoelace that helps me keep going. That sense of duty that Prince Philip embodied, duty through the suppression of self, personal sacrifice, higher purpose. This duty, with good reason, has slowly eroded over the 20th century and particularly declined in the 60s and 70s, where duty was replaced with free love, self-expression, following your bliss, embracing your passions, being free to be you and me. And these set of values made space for a wonderful flowering of identities that were denied earlier. Women as people, the rainbow of sexual and gender identities, people of color claiming their heritage, Indigenous people honoring their culture that had been destroyed by that British Empire duty. And I'm glad we live in a more accepting and inclusive world. Anyone who feels alone in their identity can go on social media and see that they are in truth part of a community. And obviously this is not done where there is still oppression and exploitation. There's still acceptance to be done, but we are reforming that rich tapestry of human identity and culture. And we in the West have more freedom to choose our lives and express ourselves. And this is wonderful. And there are still some dangers in this more welcoming era, because rather than the problematic suppression of the self, there can be the problematic perfection of the self. There's this sense that if you're truly authentic, truly yourself, then you'll be happy and your life will work right, which can encourage selfishness, a sense of me first, discard what doesn't fit perfectly, and that can break down social ties. And if you're not happy and your life doesn't work right, then it's on you to change it all up and find the right person or the right job or the right place or the right body or the right mindset. It's a lot of pressure for an individual. It's all on you to get your life just right for yourself. Life is not perfect, and we will never be consistently perfect or right, fabulous as we are. Life is messy and it's unfair and it goes badly even for fabulous people like ourselves. We can't manage on our own. We don't always know what we want, or we want conflicting things. Bad things happen. Things fall apart. Sometimes we fall apart. And then what holds us? I remember Velcro sneakers. They were very popular in my teen years. They were great when new, but when the Velcro gets filled with fuzz and just no longer sticks, and the Velcro straps flap in the wind and your shoes fall off your feet. There's no second knot. There's no backup to keep you steady when you're struggling. It's all on you. And I think we've been living partly in that era of Velcro sneakers, and it leaves us too much alone. Our only allegiance is to ourselves, and there's no sense of purpose beyond self-fulfillment. And this is where that sense of duty, sense of service matters. And traditionally, as a liberal, free to be you and me tradition, Unitarian Universalism hasn't actually had much to say on the topic of duty. After all, our religious ancestors were very specifically challenging that status quo of duty as suppression and sacrifice. From early heretics to the transcendentalists through humanism, we celebrate the individual's rights, the personal understanding of the divine, the freedom to choose, and the importance of being true to yourself first and foremost. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of each of us as we are. And certainly I want people to be free to speak their deepest truths and express their identities in any way they please. And yet, we are not for ourselves alone. Self-fulfillment is not enough to sustain us. Our seventh principle tells us this. We're part of a web of connection. Any parent or caregiver or anyone who's ever been in love knows this. How easy it is to let go of our needs to tend to a loved one. We are not for ourselves alone. Any parent or caregiver or anyone who has ever been in love knows how hard it can be to let go of our needs to tend to a loved one. And we do it when it's necessary. We are not for ourselves alone. Duty to God, Queen, and country, free to be me and follow my bliss. How do we refresh a sense of duty and reconcile duty with individual freedoms? What do we owe one another? For all of us who are here this morning, I know we're here not just for ourselves. We're here because we know we need one another, that our connections are not just responsibilities that tear us down, but gifts that lift us up. We come together as a child's community because we know that the right life alone is not enough. We need a greater truth, a sense of meaning to align with, to hold on to when the shoelaces are untied and we're tripping over ourselves. So while Unitarian Universalism continues to uphold people's right to express their identity and choose their lives, we also understand the power of community and connection. And that power lies not just in the gifts being in community gives each of us, but also in the obligations that come with that gift. Here at UCM, people give so generously of themselves, their time, their talents. Each of you in this moment is giving the gift of your presence. This is the interdependent web. Biologist Robin Wall Kimmerer, who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a wonderful book about science and Indigenous wisdom, notes that we, all beings on the planet, we are bound in reciprocal relationships. And relationships bring us back to duty, because all beings have a duty to each other. Kimmerer says that if an animal gives its life to feed me, then I am in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, then I am responsible for returning a gift in kind. Kimmerer says to be human means to know our duty to others and learn how to perform those duties. And this sense of duty, I think, is a positive one. It's a duty that grows healthy connections. So if we eat animals, then we should be ensuring their lives, although short, are well lived. If we want fresh water, we need to work to keep that water clean. If we want to buy groceries, we should help grocery store workers make a living wage and protect them from COVID. If we want clothes, they should be made by people with decent working conditions. We are given many gifts by other people, other beings, and this earth, and we in turn have gifts to offer. Reciprocity reminds us that we are part of something greater than ourselves, not queen and country, but that beautiful mystery of all life on this planet. This planet with silkworms giving us silk and trees giving us lumber and bees pollinating our fruit. It's a whole cycle of abundance of giving. And so we need to do our part giving back, to be grateful for those gifts, to take care of the water and the trees and the bees, to be filled with gratitude at the gifts being given, to do our duty to the greater whole. We need that sense of gratitude, a gift exchange, to care for each other in the planet. And in Hinduism, Dharma is seen as the healthy order of life, and one aspect of Dharma is doing one's duty, carrying out our obligations to others. To live well includes doing our duty. And so when we love someone, we are happy to set aside what we're doing at times when they're in need. When we're passionate about a cause, we let go of other activities to focus on our passion. And when we aren't always feeling the love or the passion, because we can't always feel that way, then that sense of obligation, that sense of reciprocity and of duty can keep us going. As people of the chalice, we see the reciprocity inherent in the world. We know we are part of this greater web of life. And we know just as we are given so many gifts, that we have many gifts to offer too. So let us find a way to live freely, gratefully, and with a sense of duty. What do we owe each other? What do we owe the planet? Everything. So say we all.